So I went to D23 and got to experience the booths, panels, and meet some really cool people. This is Parkgoers Go to D23. Hello and welcome to Parkgoers Go, your go-to podcast for all things theme park. My name is Dustin.
And I'm Logan.
And I'm Nate.
And today we are going to be talking about D23. And my experiences with it. Because I was there. I was there, you guys, for all 3 days. Yay.
We weren't, because we weren't invited.
That's all right. I was invited, but they were not. Not professionally.
Not by Disney.
I was invited by people who were going.
We wish.
Not yet.
We had 2 episodes in the can, and Disney's like, you know what, guys? I like the cut of your jib.
Dream big.
They saw our 5 out of 5 ratings on Spotify, and they said, yep.
Like, that's 100%.
The top rated podcast on Spotify right now.
But anyways, all right. So, yeah, no. Today we'll be talking about some of the panels I went to, who I met, who I saw, and some of the pros and cons of the D23 this year. So let's break it down.
Break it down.
All right, so let's talk about the booths first, which was basically, it was on the bottom floor, and there were 4 or 5 sections. It was a huge, it's a conference center, so it was a huge floor thing with separate little booths. Did you, based off of the videos that I sent you guys, did you guys see anything that caught your eye that you would like to talk about?
No, I think I would like to start by just acknowledging how you described that so vividly.
Shut up.
I can almost, I feel like I was there.
I don't even think we need a ticket. So the booths, I saw that they had, those experience booths, right? Well, it's kind of I don't know, they just, do, different, photo op-y kind of things. But then they also have, I guess, walkthrough stuff. And then I know they had, shops and stuff for, display for, the new stuff, right? The rides.
Can you describe, some of the booths so we know what was one of the booths in the area that you're talking about?
So basically, when you walked into the convention center, there was this huge room that was just filled with booths of all Disney properties and all Disney partnerships. So partnership-wise, you had things like Loungefly, Honda, Ravensburger, and tons of other ones that I'm sure will pop up as I keep talking. And those were basically merchandise places where you could buy stuff, or they had a lot of free giveaways. But what I found were the coolest were the experience ones, which were mostly just Disney properties. So you had the Avatar walkthrough, the ILM experience, I think it was called Stagecraft, the FX walkthrough, the Hulu walkthrough, the Abbott Elementary walkthrough, which was kind of like a carnival, so that was cool. And I feel like when it comes to the booths, those are the ones I'm going to delve into more than any of the other ones because they just had the most to talk about. But one of the booths that I thought was really interesting, I don't know what the booth was called, but you stood in front of a white background and they handed you a wand. And you did the Disney Channel Mickey ears, like you're watching the Disney Channel. Dun, 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 dun. And then you could record yourself doing that.
That's cute.
So that was pretty cool.
They had something like that at Disney Channel nights in Disneyland recently.
Oh, yeah,
but
they did.
It was kind of not it's probably they didn't do the whole production. I think it was just a glowy up sign that kind of just stood there.
Is this the area that has a bunch of photo ops as well?
Yeah, so there were all the photo ops would have been in the booth sections. Oh, are you talking about with celebrities?
I'm looking at the Pixar Animation Studio. There was the Deadpool and Wolverine area thing.
So that was all scattered throughout this area. Yeah, they had a really cute Buzz and Woody as Cars from the end credits of the first Cars movie. So that was cool. To see.
I think it's Cars dressed up as Buzz and Woody.
No, I think it's the
Cars. They went to the movies at the end of the Cars movie, and there was a bunch of Pixar films that were
Oh, are you saying Cause dressed up as Buzz
Yes.
and Woody instead of Buzz and Woody dressed up as Cause?
All right, so Cars dressed up as Buzz and Woody. It was the Buzz and Woody from the end credits of Cars, which was very cute. Oh, and then there was also that whole Cars show that had a bunch of vehicles from different places. They had 3 different Cruella de Vil cars. They had the A-Team van. My personal favorite was they had 3 Muppet vehicles. The Interpol one from Muppet Most Wanted, Muppet Taxi, but then they had the Electric Mayhem van. And the coolest part about that is that they had the door open, and you could see how the floor was missing so that the puppeteers could, puppet the puppets. So that was pretty neat.
That's cool.
But going back to the experiences, the ones that blew my mind versus the ones that I thought were just all right. I thought the Avatar one, the outside had all these glowing things, the giant projection wall, but then they also had like heads of the Na'vi characters that look so real. Like they look like skin texture, and you're like, that's actually pretty cool. When you got inside though, you got a lot of statues, but they were just pretty much, the shiny kind of statue things, which was cool.
This
you saw an
shiny
Ikron,
guy always worries. Did you actually walk around it? You went inside?
Yeah.
Was there like a long line or anything?
So we went on that one at the end of one of the nights. So no, it wasn't a long line, but typically it was. That one was all right. Like they had a life-size Ikron, so that was really cool.
Oh my God. I want to see that so bad. I want them to bring that. Can you imagine if they brought that to Animal Kingdom as like a meet and greet event?
Oh, like a Econ experience, like the Velociraptor
Yes.
thing.
Yes, that's what I want.
I'm pretty
I want
sure the
that so bad.
Ikron experience is Flight of Passage.
Yeah, but like a real Econ experience.
That's not real.
It's real enough.
Yeah, Avatar experience did look really cool though.
Yeah, it was all right. But at the end of that, you would leave, and then they had these giant baskets full of Avatar posters. And when I was leaving, the person who was supposed to be handing them out was not handing them out and just talking to somebody. So my wife and I were just like, do we just take one? So we ended up taking 3. And so we ended up going over to the FX booth, which is the channel FX. And that one was a really cool walkthrough because you walk through, the first thing you did was the bear. There was a hostess out in front, and they gave you like a little toothpick holder thing, free swag. And then you walk into like the kitchen, and then there's these guys like pretending to make food. You got to sit in this little dining area. I haven't seen the show, so I'm sure this is all important. And we got a picture there. Then it took us to Shogun, which was basically just samurai armor that you could take a picture in front of. But then after that, it took you into an area that was 18 years or older, and it was American Horror Story themed. And you walked in, and it was very creepy. It wasn't scary. It was just creepy. It was mainly just like oily people. I don't know what season that was. And then they had a little poster at the end for their next season, which was grotesque.
Sounds good to me.
Well, while we were waiting in line for that, we see a guy from the Avatar area carrying this giant basket, just asking people, you want an Avatar poster? Because they were just trying to get rid of them at that point. Because I'm guessing the person didn't give any away, so they just had a ton. So we ended up getting 5 more. So we had
What?
like 8 Avatar posters.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And they're going to be gifts for you too.
Oh, yay.
And they were signed.
They were signed?
Good.
By me.
Oh, you guys were like James Cameron or something.
We did the TVA experience. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about the Marvel stuff. Was there any other Marvel stuff besides the TVA experience?
Booth wise, I don't think so. There was some like photo ops, like Deadpool and Wolverine photo op things,
Yeah.
but nothing that I recall.
I saw the thing with like that you could like meet Rocket and stuff. Was that in the TVA experience?
Yeah, so that was the surprise thing at the end. So it was cool because you walk in, and it's like you're walking into TVA. So one of those, what are those time cop people called? The agents.
TVA people.
TVA
Yeah,
agent.
TVA agent. Yeah, there you go. The TVA agent was just like, don't walk through any portals and just don't touch anything.
Welcome to your TVA training. Your orientation will begin shortly in the room behind me. Do not touch anything, all right? I'm looking at you. You look grabby.
And you're just like, okay.
Cute.
So then you walk into this room where there's this guy sitting at a desk, and he's just like, oh, we have, you guys are the new recruits. listen to our boss talk, and then Miss Minutes shows up in one of those like hologram kind of things, and she talks to you and reminds you not to touch anything.
Hey y'all, welcome to the Time Variance Authority, the organization that monitors all of time. Pretty important stuff, isn't it? I'm Miss Minutes, and I'm here to welcome you to your future. Feel free to look through our time doors, but don't go walking in, Daddy. You wouldn't want to break any rules on your first day at work, would you?
And you move into another room where there's like a skyline, and then you go around the corner and they're like, hey, make sure you don't walk through any portals and don't touch anything. And at this point, you're like, do they want me to walk through a portal? Like, I don't understand. And then you go into the next room, and it was cool because the way that they designed it was basically it's a costume showcase. But they made it kind of like the TVA portals. But when you looked inside, it was designed as if it was from one of the other movies. So the first one was like you were looking into the cave in Iron Man 1, and it has the Iron Man prototype suit. Another one was Captain America, basically the main four, their costumes in the portal scene from Endgame. And then they had a couple of Deadpool Wolverine ones too. There was one that was for the new Daredevil show, but there was no costume in it. It was just like a setting. So that was cool. But yeah, no, you got to meet Rocket.
Oh, sure, yeah, come all the way in. Listen to what he says. It's not his ship. That's okay. Yeah, come all the way in. All right. Look at all these humans just staring.
But yeah, no, that one was fun. But I will say the one that was mind-blowing, that was incredibly cool, was the ILM one, the Lucasfilm booth, which had the stagecraft. And what they did was that you could sign up to actually like participate in it, or on the off time, you could walk through it and watch them do a preview. Guys, do you know what it was?
Did you do it?
I didn't do it. I walked through it though. It was the volume, which was insane. Which, for those who don't know what the volume is, starting with the Mandalorian show, basically what they did was instead of going to real locations, they're standing in front of a giant curved series of screens.
What? Wait, you went into the volume?
Yes. Well, they had like one there. So the way it works is that using video game technology, the Unreal Engine, they design the settings and they have it on all these screens. But when you do that in real life, it doesn't really work when you move the camera because it looks flat. So they have this program that basically wherever the camera moves, the background shifts too. There's a parallax to it, similar to like when you ride the Ratatouille ride and then you move and then the whole background shifts too to match your perspective so that it looks more, there's more depth. And you watch this and you watch this giant camera rig move and you're watching this person like acting on the thing and you look at the background and the background looks so weird and you're like, ew, that looks like kind of gross. But then you look at the screen next to it and it looks so good. Like they had a monitor showing you what the camera was seeing, and it was incredible. I saw one where it was they were in like the port of like one of those Star Destroyers, and there was a little R2 unit that was there. Not R2, but one of the droids. And somebody was like interacting with it and running, all over the place. And that one was really cool. My wife saw one with somebody had a lightsaber, and then one of the other characters was there with a lightsaber, but they were only video, and it apparently looked really good too.
And you got to do it?
I didn't do it, no, because it was you either had to get a reservation or you had to wait super long, and I was just like, I'm not gonna wait that long.
That is so cool.
It's crazy that they can just set it up there like that.
That one, I think that one was definitely the coolest experience one that I saw. I think for the most part, the booths worked very well, and it was a lot of fun just walking through all of them, and just seeing a lot of what everybody was bringing to the table.
That's cool. Did you did no, I didn't mean it like that.
That's cool. Shut up.
Did Imagineering have like a booth?
Oh, yes. So that's actually a really cool booth too. But before I jump into that one, there was another booth. I think, Logan, you mentioned photo opportunities.
Yeah.
And there was one booth that was really cool to look at. And it was Pixar and Walt Disney animation. It was very cool looking, and it had a lot of fun stuff in it. But there were some...
Again, with your descriptions. Really just, I feel transported.
I'm trying to like get to other stuff. But so you walk through the iconic Pixar sign that they have on their campus. And then there's like giant statues, not giant, but life-size statue, not life-size either because they're
my
toys.
God,
But
again.
they're like human-sized. they're larger than life-sized. Woody and Buzz standing outside next to the sign. You go inside and then you saw the control panel from Inside Out.
What?
2, and then there was Anxiety and Joy there. Oh, and then you go around the corner and then you see Dream Productions, which is the Riley's Dream thing. You see the unicorn reading a newspaper, sitting in a chair that you could take a picture with, which is pretty funny. But that was mainly the Pixar section, and then in the animation section, you could take pictures with a Moana and Maui statue. But yeah, and they had the iconic Sorcerer Mickey hat, and it said animation in front of it. It was really
You mentioned seeing Anxiety, and I have seen this reel of someone dressed up as Anxiety. Did you see a lot of people like dressed up as characters?
I did. There were actually a lot of really cool costumes. At one point, like the whole, and I'm talking about the whole cast of Sugar Rush,
Oh my God.
came by, and they had all these like cars, and there was Vanellope and
I
all
saw
of them.
them.
That was crazy.
I saw them online.
There was a really cool costume. I had beef with them.
Why? Because you didn't come up with it?
No, I'll tell you why. Because it was Woody's Roundup and like the old marionette things where they had the marionettes on top and they were all black and white. It's very cute, right? And very cool and clever. But what annoyed me was the fact that I was waiting in line to get a signature from Andrew Stanton, and they cut off the line, and they were very adamant that nobody could get in line. But then they let them in line because they were dressed up like that. It got a lot of people mad because they're like, why do they get to go? I don't know. I had beef.
I think what we're learning is that you need to dress up.
I know.
Yeah, maybe you need to try harder, Dustin.
Well, just to jump ahead a little bit, later I'm going to talk about who I met, but one of the signatures I got was from Tony Baxter, which was kind of a last minute thing. But what was funny is that the guy behind us was dressed up like Dreamfinder. So we meet Tony Baxter. He signs our stuff. He takes a photo. And as we're leaving, the guy who's Dreamfinder goes up to him and goes, "Hey, do you mind if I get a photo with you?" And then Tony goes, "Yeah, that's fine." And then turns to his wife and goes, "But can you grab my phone too? Because I want a picture of us too." Because he created Dreamfinder.
That's so
and
cool.
he likes to just have the pictures of people who dress up like, things that he made. And I'm like, oh, that's
See,
sweet.
Justin, I feel like you're just telling stories here. That makes me mad that you didn't dress up.
Well, I did wear a Pizza Planet shirt when I was supposed to meet Andrew Stanton. And I didn't. So I met Ron Clements, the guy who made like the Disney Renaissance stuff, wearing a Pizza Planet shirt. So that's great.
Huge fan.
But no, getting back to the Imagineering Pavilion, I don't know why I forgot about that one, but that one was incredible as well because they basically had every technology there. They had that floor that can move things. And not only did they have the floor, they had the guy who created it.
Oh, he was there?
Yeah, he was there every single day. And everybody who was at that pavilion was an Imagineer.
That's cool.
Who worked on the thing that they were standing in front of. So that was awesome. Love the little chicken droids. Oh my gosh, they were so funny. They were just walking around doing their thing. They had all this stuff, but they had a black curtain over part of it, which I didn't notice because it just looked like that was the end of it. But it turns out that after Saturday, they opened it up and you could wait in a line to see it.
Yeah, that was the behind the curtain that they were talking about for the
Right.
the new stuff.
Oh,
Right.
I was going to ask about that because I just saw a reel where they were like, and here's a 3D model of the ride. And I was like, why didn't he send us this? Like, what are you doing?
So I wasn't able to do that part, but there was a corner where I could see, like, it's kind of the concept art we already saw of the Tropical Americas, but they had a model, like a full model of the whole thing. So I was able to see that. But let's hop over to some of the panels. Mind you, I had 2 reservations, which was 30 Years of Toy Story and Disney Studio Character Voices one. The first one I went to was How to Direct Animation Anyways, which was a fantastic panel. It was on the 3rd floor. So there were 3 floors to this convention center. First floor had the main stage, which was huge, where they used to have all of the big showcase announcements, but now that moved to the Honda Center. The 2nd floor had 2 smaller stages, and then the third floor had one stage called the Disney Archives stage. I basically just lived on that stage because it was incredible. There was standby lines for pretty much everything, and those standby lines never filled up. And I don't understand how, because a lot of them were really cool. So this one was in the archive stage, and it had Pete Docter, who directed Up, and also is the chief creative officer of Pixar. Then you had Peter Sun, who did Elemental. You had Domi Shi, who did Turning Red. So those were the Pixar people. And then you had Jennifer Lee, who is the CCO, so Chief Creative Officer of Disney Animation, who directed the Frozen films.
Oh, I love her.
You had Jarrett Bush, who directed Zootopia. And then you had Ron Clements, who did, all the really good Disney Renaissance 1 and also Moana. It was funny because you had 3 from Disney Animation and 3 from Pixar. And apparently they have this thing in Pixar called the Brain Trust, where whoever's working on any director on the Pixar film, they basically take it to a group of people who work in Pixar, and then they'll just rip it apart, which I think is cool. But in Disney Animation, they have a story trust where they do the same thing. And no, it was really interesting to see all of them talking about their experience and, all that about Disney Animation. So that was really cool.
That sounds like a terrifying room to be in.
As in what?
Getting this trusts.
Oh, yeah.
Like those exercises of getting the stuff torn apart. Be like, I can't do it. I feel like by my second one or something, I'm like, I can't do this.
Tommy Shi was saying basically the what makes a good director is being able to tell who you have to listen to and who you can ignore, or not so much who, but the information that you're given, which one. But anyways, that was really cool. And then we got the 30 Years of Toy Story, which had 5 different people on the stage. I couldn't tell you all their names. I know there's Andrew Stanton, Peter Docter.
What do you mean? People Dustin doesn't know?
Well,
in Disney?
Okay, so I feel horrible not knowing their names. But there was a guy named Bob Pauly who was the character designer and designed Buzz Lightyear, which is cool because at the animation booth, he actually did a how to draw Buzz Lightyear thing, which was pretty neat because you learned how to draw Buzz Lightyear by the guy who created Buzz Lightyear. But that one was fine. That was in the huge stage, the premiere stage. It was a lot of them talking and then a couple of photos that they popped up, but more of just their experience on the first Toy Story film and how, it was rough. Nobody knew what was going to happen.
We had 3 ideas. Right. One was the James and the Giant Peach. Right. One was Bob the Dinosaur. Yeah, it was a Bill Joyce book. Yeah. And then the third was this weird half-baked original idea of a ventriloquist dummy and Tinny from Tin Toy having a road trip together. And that's the one they said, go work on that some more.
So I thought it was fine. But the panel I did after that was the making of a Goofy movie, The Road to Lake Destiny, which is there's a documentary that was made called Not Just a Goof. And the 2 filmmakers who made it were there. And they also had the crew of a Goofy movie. So like the director, the editor, I think one of the producers, and then Bill Farmer was there too, the voice of Goofy. The host, who was Don Hahn, who was basically the host of everything. He was a producer. He's a Disney legend as of a few years ago. But he was very funny, and I liked listening to him.
That's actually one of the requirements to be inducted as a Disney legend. You have to sign up for intermittent emceeing.
Well, yeah. Well, anyways, so they talked about, just the making of it. So that was cool. And they had the director, Kevin Lima, apparently kept all the behind the scenes stuff because, as he put it, this was kind of a B movie for Disney because this wasn't made by Disney Animation. It was made by Disney Toon Studio, I believe it was called. So those were the ones who made the straight to video sequels. So he's like, yeah, they didn't do any behind the scenes stuff like they did for like Lion King or Pocahontas. So he's like, so I just did it myself. So they had all this stuff. And one of the coolest things they had was they did a live recording of these 3 dancers doing the eye-to-eye dance at the end of the film as a reference point. and they had this one guy who was a really good dancer who was Powerline, and they had another guy who they told him to exaggerate the things more and be a little more like wobbly and loose to be goofy, and they had a shorter guy who was Max, and so they showed a clip of it from the documentary, and it's just them doing the Powerline dance, and you're like, oh, that's so cool. They go after Jeffrey Katzenberg a lot, who was like the head of Disney Animation at the time. And apparently at one point they played the whole movie for him. And after he watched it, he goes, the goofy voice, it's kind of irritating. Is there any way that he could just use his normal voice? And they're like, what? So I went to Bill Farmer, and Bill Farmer said that he lost sleep. Like, how do you have Goofy without Goofy's voice?
Yes, that was a rough time for me. I came into the project kind of from the outside as a voice artist. You're just hired to go in and do the lines, and you don't see all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes, which is what this documentary deals with. And I had no idea. I remember them coming to me and saying, yeah, they think you sound too cartoony. They don't want me to go, gosh, howdy. You know, they wanted me to just use my, hi, howdy, hey, Max, how are you doing? And I had to do that, and I didn't get much sleep during those days. That was really rough, and thank God they changed their minds. And but we worked on that movie for about two and a half years, something like that. And we did the sequel, an extremely goofy movie, in about 4 days.
But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of cool stuff. I think that was one of the most energetic crowds. Like, there wasn't a ton of people, but the people who were there wanted to be there. And that leads to the next one, which is, I know I said in the last episode I was going to try really hard to do that Hulu animation panel, but I didn't.
Didn't try hard enough.
Well, it was based off an experience I had earlier that day. And what I ended up doing instead was the Stay Tuned, You're Watching the Disney Channel. And they had the cast of Zombies 4, Descendants 4, Rise of Red. And then they also had some overlap of people who were in the High School Musical, the series.
That's a crazy title.
Yeah. They also had the cast of Raven's Home.
Yeah. Raven Simone.
Yeah, Beyond Wizards of Waverly Place.
No Selena, though.
And High School Musical, which means that Raven Simone was there, Corbin Bleu was there, Monique Coleman was there, and David Henry was there. And
that's really cool.
No, it was very cool. It was very funny and fun. They showed some clips from Wizards.
Wait, did you meet Raven though?
No, I didn't meet her. No. They were up on the thing. There was a signing with her, but I didn't go there. They didn't promote it. It was just like, oh, sign with characters of Raven's Home.
He did nothing while he was there.
So that one was cool. That one was very cute. And like I said, I think that was the top most energetic group because you had different generations of fans, all for different people. So that one was cute. And then on the last day, we did Legends in Conversation, where Don Hahn hosted that one again. Joe Rohde was there. Martha Blanding, who was the first black female tour guide.
She was the first black female, like, everything.
Yeah, she was so funny, too. And then you also got Mark Henn, and the animator, and then also Colleen Atwood, who's the costume designer. And they were all up there. That was so well paced. It was so good. It was so nice to hear them all talk. They all had like great stories to tell. And no, that one was just, it was a nice one. I really enjoyed that one. It was a nice Sunday morning little thing. But there was actually a really interesting part where Don talks to Joe Rohde and says, well, we actually all have one question that's on everybody's mind, and I know everybody's begging to ask you. And for a moment, I thought he was going to bring up the Yeti and Everest and ask him if he's ever going to finish it. But instead, what he did was that he asked Joe about his earring and how it came to be.
Earring is a celebrity, and I am the friend of the celebrity. I travel with the earring, and people see the earring, and they're like, oh, that's that famous guy. Who's this person with him? I started in 1987. Really? I did. I started in 1987 because I was going to go on a business trip to Japan, and I had one of those little tiny posts from the 1980s, and my boss in the model shop had said, you know, you kind of don't look like a Disney employee anyway because that long hair. So maybe you shouldn't wear any Disney ID when you're in Japan. thought, that's not fair. I've been working for this company for 7 years. So I took my Disney 5-year pin, which is a lapel pin. Beautiful. And I stuck it through that little tiny hole in my ear, which made the hole bigger. Yes. And started a cascade of other decisions. Yes. Basically, whenever I go someplace I've never been before, a country, I look for a hoop-shaped earring, usually ethnic or tribal or something, but nowadays anything, and it goes in my ear. Now, of course, I have a bowl full of them at home. This is the travel pack.
And then we ended up rushing over to Jolly Holiday Richard Sherman tribute. And guys, they brought everybody out for this one. And so you had, it was hosted by John Stamos, and Don Hahn was there again for a little segment where he interviewed like 3 people. Yeah. Don Hahn. And then it was the woman, I don't know her name, but she originated the role of Mary Poppins on Broadway. You had Floyd Norman, who was an animator who worked with Walt Disney, and he's like 89 or something like that. And he worked on The Jungle Book and tons of films after that. And then Kevin Feige was there to talk about Richard Sherman. But then they ended up going away, and they brought out Leonard Moulton and his daughter, who's a film critic. And apparently they were very close with Richard Sherman. And then they brought out these 2 women, which I think was one of the highlights for me. So it was 2 women who were handpicked by Walt to be in certain things. And they worked really close with the Sherman brothers. And one of them was Leslie Ann Warren, who she started working with Disney on The Happiest Millionaire. You probably know her best as Miss Scarlet in the Clue movie, but she was there. And also Haley Mills. She was the girl in The Parent Trap, the original Parent Trap, and she played both roles. And then she did a couple other films with Disney. One of the big songs that they wrote was Let's Get Together, which I don't know, let's get together, yeah. And they're like, it would be kind of great if you guys could sing it. And it was just so heartwarming.
Let's get together, yeah. Why don't you and I combine? Let's get together, what do you say? We can have a swinging time with me. And it could be great to say, hey, alligator.
She sang that song in the movie. And she's like, I haven't sang that song since the movie. And I'm like, oh, this is so cute. They then went off. At one point, John Stamos played the drums and then brought out Darren Criss, and they sang a song. And then they brought out Richard Sherman's son to talk. And then Richard Sherman's granddaughter, she sang, and it was very touching. And then they brought out everybody at the end to sing Let's Go Fly a Kite. And it was very sweet. And Richard Sherman's son points out this was a last minute thing. And then it occurred to me, this was a last minute thing because he recently passed away. So this was like not something that they had like a ton of time to plan, yet all these people came out for it. So it was very sweet. But with concluding with that, all right, I teared up twice during these panels. Well, the whole thing, but it was during the panels. Can you guys guess which panels I teared up on? Should this be a new game? When did Dustin cry?
If it was me, I'd be crying on every single one. Definitely, I can see you tearing up to the Shaman one, because it's just, I don't know, the nostalgia, the sadness of everything.
All right, so that was one of them. What was the other one? No, I mean, that's one of your guesses. I'm not confirming.
I was gonna say, okay, already off to a good start.
I want to say the Goofy movie one, just because it seems like you had a good time though. But my unofficial third guess would be the panel with all those movie directors and stuff. I forgot which one that one was called.
Okay. How to direct animation anyways?
Yeah.
No, I think it's the other two.
The Goofy and the Shaman?
Yeah.
All right, and you guys are correct with the Jolly Holiday. With the Sherman brothers.
Oh, okay, I was going to say like,
And you are also correct with the other one. Yeah, no. I teared up on both.
Which one? Goofy?
So yeah, Goofy, yeah. A Goofy movie is one of my favorite animated films of all time. I think it's very sweet, and I just love the whole story behind it. And you could tell that they were really big fans of a Goofy movie, And at the end, when they announced, they're like, "Oh, we made this movie as fans for fans," and then we all started cheering. You could tell that he got emotional, and I'm like, "Oh, that's so sweet."
It is definitely a highlight of my career and an honor to be in this movie. And thanks to all the fans who have made it bigger and bigger every year since then. And I think it's even more popular now than it was then, and that's a very rare thing to say.
It is. Yeah.
I need to watch that again. We need to watch that again.
The Goofy movie?
Yeah.
I love the sequel.
Oh, it's so good.
When they go to college.
Well, at the
It's
end,
been
at the end they
so
said
long.
at the end they said that they're in talks with a streaming service to
boy.
have it put onto the streaming service.
A lot of you may be wondering how the future of this documentary will play out. We're in some really encouraging talks with companies that have streaming services. Not Netflix, sir, really.
But so hopefully it comes to Disney Plus at some point. Yeah, the other one was Jolly Holiday. Oh my gosh, there were about four different times that I teared up. It was so emotional. At one point, at the end, John Stamos broke down, and it made me tear up like really hard. It was a touching one. It was very sweet. And I believe that was our last panel. Now, I do have some interesting facts from these panels.
Oh, boy.
That I think you guys will find interesting. And there's also some quotes that I thought were really good.
Please. You better make one of us tear up.
No, I'm going to make you go either I'll make you laugh or I'll make you go like, oh, that's so
Or
interesting.
we're going to be crying like, please.
Ron Clements said that he met the screenwriter for North by Northwest, and he said this quote that says, "Success is losing the right arguments." That probably doesn't mean anything to you guys, but I thought it was a good quote.
Success is losing the right arguments.
Well, I thought it was nice. So another one, Pete Docter said that he met with Miyazaki.
The Miyazaki?
Well, I don't know if it was before Inside Out 1 or 2. Pete Docter said one of the things that he personally has an issue with is grappling with like what he thinks the audience would enjoy versus what he would enjoy. So he asked Miyazaki, and then apparently Miyazaki, he said that he doesn't care what the audience
Yeah,
thinks.
I was going to say, did this guy do any research on Miyazaki before he met him?
It sounds that's very Miyazaki. I was just about to, or did you see, I just watched the Toy Story, like the whole series not that long ago, and Totoro's in one of them.
Yeah, they sneak him in. I love that.
He's in the third one, I think. But also, Pete Docter's daughter actually speaks for the young Ellie. And
She talks?
Yeah, at the beginning.
Yeah, when they first meet. Remember he goes
we're in
through
a club
window?
together.
Oh, she goes through.
like
Yeah.
young. Oh, okay, yes.
But anyways, they used her just to put track down. And then Pete Docter was saying that they auditioned a bunch of other kids, but nobody was as good as her. But they were worried because of the Screen Actors Guild, since they worked so close. And then they screened the film for Ed Asner, and Ed Asner's like, "Who's the kid at the beginning?" And then he said, "Oh, it's my daughter." He's like, "She makes the movie." And Pete Docter's like, "Well, Ed Asner was the Screen Actors Guild president at one point, so we figured if he liked it, then we could just go with it." And then Jared Bush, the guy from Zootopia, is like, "Oh, well, I have the opposite story where I cast my son as a young polar bear in the movie, and then his part ended up getting cut, so I had to fire my son."
That's Hollywood, baby.
Another thing, the little green men in Toy Story,
The aliens?
yeah, the aliens, the little green alien men, was actually an idea from director Chris Sanders. Well, he wasn't a director at the time, but he went on to make Lilo and Stitch and was the voice of Stitch.
What?
So that's pretty cool.
Is he going to voice him in the new one?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, he sounds just the same. So
Yeah, he sounds great. I think they made him look really good, too.
Yeah. No, I agree. He does look cute. So another thing, during the 30 years of Toy Story, they showed a Post-it note that had all the Toy Story catchphrases, and there were a couple that were written on. Andrew Stanton said, "Oh, the ones that are written up there, Tom Hanks came up with when we were just in the recording session," and so I wrote them down. So apparently the ones that Tom Hanks came up with was "Someone poisoned the water hole."
Nice.
And "There's a snake in my boot," which is pretty crazy because those are very popular.
Someone poisoned the water holes one?
Someone poisoned the water.
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
It's yeah. Well, it's one of them.
You should rewatch the movies.
I just did.
Rewatch them again and take notes. So Joe Rohde's dad apparently was a cinematographer, and he worked on Planet of the Apes. And he said that he used to like crawl around on the film sets all the time and like climb around them, which helped inspire him. Mark Henn, the animator, apparently helped open the MGM Studios animation tour. So the one that were in the animation courtyard that used to be there. And they referred to it as the fishbowl because they were inside and people would just walk by and stared at them. But the biggest one, which I thought was really cool, was, did you know that there is a Sherman Brothers song in Iron Man?
No. I did not.
Which is why Kevin Feige was there, because I was like, why is Kevin Feige there? And it turns out that during the Stark Expo in the film, they wanted something that was like, you know, reminiscent of an expo. And then somebody recommended, well, why don't you reach out to Richard Sherman?
But we wanted it to be this authentic, real thing. And I said, we need a World's Fair 64 song. And I think it was Dave Jordan suggested, well, would you like to meet with Richard Sherman? And I thought, would he do that? Is that allowed? Would he be nice enough? And the answer is yes, of course. And we took him through sort of what the Stark Expo was about and promising a better tomorrow, exactly like the World's Fair did. And he wrote a wonderful song for us that I kept stressing was not a parody. We did not want a parody song. We wanted a real song that would fit in as if he had written it in the 64-65 World's Fair. And he delivered an amazing song called Make Way for Tomorrow Today for us.
And they actually filmed him playing the thing for them the first time. And it was Jon Favreau and Kevin Feige and a couple other people in the room. And you could just see they were overjoyed to just have Richard Sherman make this song for them.
We have a montage, a visual, excitement, a choir. Visualize my voice is a beautiful sounding choir that's singing in great harmony. Okay? With that, we go on. That promise is heading our way, so keep your eyes on that shining horizon.
But it was really cool because I didn't even know that. I was just like, wow. It kind of just like is in the background.
Oh yeah, apparently it's in Iron Man 2, and then it also played in Captain America: First Avenger and Endgame. That's really cool.
All right. So real quick, let me just run through the people who I saw or who I was able to meet and who I saw. I was able to get autographs from Ron Clements, Mark Henn, the Bob's Burgers cast. Pete Docter signed a book for me, so I have his book. Leslie Iwerks, I was able to get her to sign my book. Let's see, Tony Baxter, he was able to sign like a card for us, and then we bought a painting of his. And then the two cool ones. So I bought the Bob Weiss book about I think it was like 4 decades of Imagineering, but it conflicted with other schedules. So my lovely mother-in-law graciously decided that she would take it upon herself to wait in that line and get it signed. And it's funny because she was texting me. She's like, what do I say? What did he do? I don't know who this is. So she ended up going into the line and saying like, oh, this is for my son-in-law, he was not able to make it. And then Bob Weiss was like, oh, well, would you like me to send him a video, which was super sweet. And so he ended up doing this like really sweet video and signing my book, and I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. And then when we were leaving the Legends and Conversations panel, I see him just wandering around. So I was like, I'm going to walk up to him. So I walked up and I was like, excuse me, Mr. Weiss. He's like, yeah. And I'm just like, hey, yesterday, my mother-in-law, I wasn't able to go in line. So my mother-in-law, and then he's like, oh, what's your name? And I'm just like, Dustin. He's like, oh, I remember. She was a very sweet lady. And I'm just like, yeah. I'm like, do you mind if I get a photo? And he's like, yeah, sure. So I'm an idiot, and I do the video button first. So I do like a 1-second video, and I'm like, oh, crap, that's a video. And then he's like, I thought I already did one of those for you. So I was just like, oh, let me get the photo. And then the last person who was the the biggest thing for me was I was walking around on the booth floor, and then I see this man with iconic white hair, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is Bob Gurr,
the man,
the
myth,
legendary
the
Imagineer who worked with Walt and made everything.
You could just tell from the back of his head.
No, it was the front. I was walking by him.
Oh.
No, it was his face.
Yeah, what about his face? Everything else, the only thing that was iconic was his hair.
Too. Yeah, and his glasses. I mean, it's just iconic.
What about his face?
He had an iconic face too. And
apparently not.
So I ended up walking past him first. I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever get this opportunity again. So then I walk up to him, I go, excuse me, sir. And then I had to say it twice. And he looks up and he's like, oh, hi. And I'm just like, hey, I just want to let you know that I'm a huge fan. And he's just like, oh, well, thank you. I'm like, thank you so much for everything you've done. And he's just like, it was my pleasure to do it all. And I'm like, do you mind if I take a photo? And I go to bring it up as a selfie. And he goes like, yeah. So then he waves over the guy who's next to him. He's like, can you take a photo of us? And I'm just like, oh. And then he's just like, here, come down, come over on this side and kneel down because I'm a little shorter. So I'm like, okay. So then I sit down. And I'm like, thank you so much. And I ended up walking away.
Did you cry?
What? You didn't bring him with you?
No, he's here right now. Bob,
you're like, come here. I'm going to put you in my pod.
You should have talked about the pod.
Well, I do want to say this though. He does have a podcast, and
does he?
I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how often he posts, but he does have a podcast. So if you want to check it out, I definitely recommend it. And to transition, I actually saw a lot of Disney vloggers that I follow too. The Thursday before the event, they made an official D23 day in Disneyland where you got a free pair of D23 ears, and they had some like specialty stuff there.
Yeah, it seemed like everybody was there.
So we ended up going there. There was a little cavalcade where they had in one of those double-decker trucks, they had some Disney legends in there. So we saw Tony Baxter, Kenny Ortega, Jodie Benson. I didn't see it was on the other side. But on the other side, across the way, we saw Paging Mr. Morrow.
Oh, we just watched one of his videos.
Yeah, he's a sweet guy. But then I also saw Adam the Woo a lot. Actually, he was there. He made his rounds. My wife saw Random Land and Fresh Baked. I saw. I'm not sure her name, but the woman off of the duo from Ordinary Adventures. But the one guy who I saw, who, I don't know, I kind of regret not saying anything because it was very easy to say something. On the second day, we were waiting for the front doors to open, and we were all in lines, and standing right next to me, in the line next to me, was Dallin from Offhand Disney. But shout out to all those people. I love all their content, so it was really cool.
I love seeing people at Disney. It's not related, but I love seeing people like celebrities and like vloggers, and it's like the best. It's one of like the best places to like people watch.
So yeah, that was my experience with 2024's D23. It was a lot of fun. Got to do a lot of stuff. Got to meet a lot of people and experiences that will last a lifetime. Hopefully next year we can all do it. And
2 years from now.
Or if you listeners are lucky enough to do it too, then hopefully we see you there.
2 years.
But otherwise, this has been Parkgoers Go. See you at the parks, or D23.
In 2 years.
Whichever comes first.
The park's definitely going to come first.
All right, bye.
Goodbye.
If you'd like to see more information or more about my adventures at D23, please visit our website at www.parkgoersgo.com or check out our Instagram at parkgoersgo.